Hey everyone, welcome to the video. We got a sneak peek of next season of Warships right here. Also, as a side note, if you're buying anything in the shop, do appreciate using a creator code. And if you want to support this channel, you can use code Stoneheart. But we can take a look at the tree. Already at 2 ER, there's kind of a cool deck. You can drop troops in the middle, but separated. And there's a few new stuff about next season. The whole little note is that Rudy and Sparky had a fight and, well, Sparky's kicked out. So we won't be seeing her this season. And let's take a look. So the first time, I think ever, we have HCs at 2 ER. So right away everyone's gonna get them. But we'll see later on where heavies are. Other stuff at 2 ER is cannons, boom cannons, snipers. Also rifles here. So you notice you have rifles and not any sort of splash. So between those and HCs, maybe a better option. There's also a few boost nodes already at 2 ER, getting some TD, troop health, GBE, and 20-30%. So some decent numbers. And at GBE, that's right, it is only one key, which might be a theme later in the season. It is the only GBE node we have, so any other ones you want have to be from these multi-nodes. But we can pick up here maybe a couple cannons and see 3 ER. So there's 3, kind of wraps around like a handle almost, so a bit better than 2. And at 3 we have warriors and shocks. Finally they're not at 6 or 7 ER, you can have them early. Got a proto, kind of decent, maybe a gym cannon. Also rockets over there. Our first hero is brick. And here again we have quite a few boost nodes. So the theme is 10%, then 20, then 30. And we'll see that I think at every single ER. All followed by a 1 key normal boost node. In this case building damage. I know the first season we ever had boost nodes, I think we had like maybe 10 of them, but there's a lot more this season. Already we have 3 plus 2, so 5 of them, and we're only at 3 ER. Also medics and another multi-node. Only 2 this season, so 2 cannons up front, and here maybe a rocket, boom cannon. Then there's 4 ER. And I think of all the decks this season, 4 ER is probably the strongest. You have these like horns that come up on each side, work as dead ends. So any troops that go in the middle have to wrap back around. And it's especially important because we still don't have any flare. So at 4 ER also gives a bring back a Rudy. Skipped him last season, but now he's back. And finally we get some splash, machine guns and flames. Another boost node on the bottom, 10, 20, and 30. All with that 1 key of troop health. And since lasers were introduced like over 2 years ago, they've always been 5, 6, or 7 ER. So I think it's only the 3rd time we ever had them this early. Just sort of cool. You can get lasers, there's also Grens as an option. So if we never really use them, now's your chance early in the season. Have them at 4 ER. And let's take a look at 5. This troop boost is also there, lasers, warriors, and rifles. Another thing, if you want to see the full tree and maybe plan a path, you can use this website. It's the one OP and DeGosser made, and it's pretty useful just to see the full tree. You can also put it in the description. And there's 5 ER. So the left side opens up a bit, and I think it's a little worse than 4. Still only 1 deck on the right side. Later at 5 is finally flare, so it's also the latest we ever had flare in the season. And getting some more defenses, mines, shock launchers, mortars. Kavan is the only hero we get on path, so might be worth thinking about. Some more boost nodes up front. I think now we're up to at least 10 maybe. Barrages early, can deal with mines. And also Seekers at 5 ER. So they might be a thing. We do have shock launchers, but there's also shocks of our own to deal with. But we can see if they're worth it or not. We'll be having a tech tree guide video out maybe in a couple days. And I'll talk more about like paths you can take. You get mortars. This is the second proto of the season and the last one. So also the first season with this few protos. A lot of unique things about it. So maybe a hot pot here. And let's check out 6ER. So it's very similar to 5, just losing a few gaps. It's still that right side deck. And at 6 we get critter launchers, shock mines, a very short path to 7, and some more boost nodes. Get that 10, 20, 30% for building health. And this also topside dead end. We have to get cryos if you want to get this cool ability node. Art is over here, so we probably won't have art this season since defib and hack should be stronger. Maybe hack if you're using seekers or RCs, defib if you're using anything else. And speaking of RCs, they're kind of at this dead end, also with bullet. So those seeker players who want to get him have to spend a lot of keys to do that. Later we have 7, we can open that up. And yeah, that's a final deck. So again, very similar to the last few ERs, just losing a few gaps. Finally at 7 we can get bombers, just like last season. Also some heavies, critters. At least we have critters this season. I know they were completely out of the picture last time. And because heavies are this late, might have second thoughts about using HCs early on. Since all the time before 7 ER, you'll only have level 1 heavies. So not doing so much. And a bunch more boost nodes at the end. So these are 20 and 30%. All troop damage, troop health, and building damage. And at the end, it's just 1 key boost. So totaling it up, I think we have 20 boost nodes this season. So way more than we ever got. And some people might be upset because they'll think it's a lot of diamonds for switching nodes, but if you commit to a path, it shouldn't be too bad. In fact, early on, I think the best strategy is not get many boost nodes. Just keep on moving forward. If you look at the main path, you actually don't get any boosts. It's just going straight to each ER. Most defenses are on path, which is good. And Kavan in this case. So if you just stick to the main path, you can decide the boost you want a bit later. And it'll show on screen the max boost you can have. It's really crazy this season. Some of the highest numbers we ever seen. Max GB is 160, and we've had some more before, but for those who want it, it's available. Max building health is 220, so that's for sure the highest we had. Building damage is 420, so crazy going in the 400s. Troop health is 480. So if you really want beefed up units, you can do that. And finally, troop damage is 530. So never thought we'd ever go above 500. Even on the main island, all TD statues doesn't get that high. So depending on what style you want to play, you have a bunch of options. And I think it's a cool part about this season. You can choose any troops you want because you have all this flexibility. If you want to go super defensive, stock up on building health, building damage. If you want to go offensive, you can do that. Maybe high TD for RCs, high troop health for seekers. Anything you want, it's available. And if you want to briefly look at each ER meta, again, because you don't have heavies till 7, I don't think HCs will be that strong. So maybe rifles to start with, and move on to warriors. So a little faster, stronger, and you have shocks here. Do you think lasers are a good pickup at 4? You do have Grens, but lasers are better in almost every way. And especially when you go 5, you get Kavan on the main path. So you can use rifle, lasers, Kavan, something like that. There are seekers, but not sure there's that much to help them out. Mainly you don't have heavies with HCs or bullet. So even if you have GB, maybe you can't shock every single splash or shock launcher. but I'm sure some people can still make them work. At 6 there is RCs, but really at this dead end, so I'd probably still use something like rifle, lasers, Kavan, and then switch to bombers at 7, or some mix in between. Later on, once you get heavies, you can start using HCs again. But still, at the end meta, I think you can make it whatever you want, just based on the boosts you pick. But like we said before, most of the path strategy we'll talk about in the other video, and that'll come out in a couple days. But there's a preview of the season, a lot of unique stuff we never had before, and let me know what you think, all the different stuff we have, especially the 20 boost nodes. And we'll see how the season goes. But that's going to be it for today's video. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.